speaking of special guests, we are very excited to welcome another CodeJoy special guest here. We've got Sarah FitzHenry right there. We'll bring you on screen here. Sarah, we're so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I feel my name was in the folder and everything. It was very exciting.
Oh yeah, you made the folder. Hardcore.
Okay.
And speaking of folders, Amanda Jeane was one of the people who really orchestrated this whole Make-A-Thon, and she's actually going to be doing the interview with you today. So I invite you on screen here, Amanda Jeane. Did you bring your mug?
I did. I brought my mug. Yeah. I am so prepared for a fantastic conversation.
I have my mug too. Here we go. Okay, I've got it.
Fantastic. Well, we are here. So my name is Amanda Jeane. I am the Director of Learning here at CodeJoy and a fellow educator. You know, I do a lot of teaching on my own during the school year. And I know, Sarah, that you are a fellow educator too. You have a cool role at BirdBrain Tech. But before we get to BirdBrain, I want to rewind a little bit. And I would love to learn about your early career. Like, what was your first job and how you got into teaching?
Oh boy. Well, it really depends. If you're talking like first job ever, I have been working since I was 13. So I was a grocery store bagger. I worked at Arby's. I was a dog walker, all of those different things. But my first full-time kind of grown-up job was as a teacher librarian. I studied music education and creative writing in my undergrad. I have 2 bachelor's degrees. And then I have my master's in library information science, because as soon as I started teaching music, I realized really quickly that I was a little too curious to be teaching the same thing year after year. And I really wanted a job where I could ask questions and be an expert in something new every day. And that led me very quickly to library science. And I was a school librarian and a technology specialist, kind of the school technology person for 10 years. And I really loved that job. And as anyone who's worked in education for a long time knows, I also was very tired. It was a wonderful 10 years and an exhausting 10 years. But in most of that time, I taught kindergarten through 8th grade. And I taught in public schools, private schools, rural, urban, not really suburban. I haven't really conquered that yet, but I got some experience in different schools and different fields and got to see it from all sorts of different angles, which I really liked.
That is really amazing. I love that you did so many things before you even got to your teaching job. I think that's the case for a lot of people. You know, we've talked to a lot of people in our interviews and our Make-A-Thon so far, and there's a lot of people who had unique paths to get where they are. And I think that that's common for so many folks. It's not, we didn't all just, you know, magically appear in a classroom, much to our, you know, students' dismay, as many of them think we live in our classrooms.
Yes.
But
sorry. When I talk to a lot of teacher friends, there are a lot of them that say that they had a truly wonderful experience at school, and that is what made them want to go into teaching, was they felt loved and safe, and they wanted to create that environment for their students. And I have to say that my experience was a little bit different. I needed some things at school that I didn't always get, and there was an adult that I wish that I'd had who'd noticed things and kind of taken me under their wing in a way. I wasn't always the easiest kid to reach and teach. I'm not a great test taker. I'm a very outside of the box thinker. As you can probably tell from my office. And so when I thought about teaching, I thought about being the adult that I had needed and that I wish that I had. Someone that kind of weird little lost Sarah could have found and clung to and been like, wow, I really belong here. And this person sees something in me, and my talents aren't weird. They're just different, and they're kind of my superpowers. So that's what I brought to my teaching, and what I still bring to my teaching now.
Yeah, so that's a perfect transition into how'd you go from being in the classroom to working with BirdBrain, and what do you do with BirdBrain Technologies?
Ooh, how much time do you have?
We got plenty of time, lady. You just talk. We are here to listen.
People ask me a lot how I went from librarian to robotics. That jump confuses a lot of people. And people are often surprised when I explain that it's not a jump at all. It's actually a very small step. Being a librarian is a very tech heavy job. I was a robotics coach. I was the one who ran the after school clubs and who brought computer programming and computer science into the classes most of the time. I had little to no experience with programming when I started, and my students wanted to code. And so I taught myself to code often along with them. And a lot of my coding expertise came from students teaching me. And so I learned it as I went. And when I thought that maybe it was time for me to step away from teaching full time, like I was ready for a new challenge, I realized that I could have used some more support when I was learning those things, and that maybe I could be that support for other teachers. There's so many things that I love about BirdBrain, but I think the thing that really made me fall in love with the company is the mission to inspire deep and joyful hands-on learning for all students. And we know that reaching all students means supporting all teachers. I'm really, really passionate about equitable and accessible computer science education. Every single student should have access to high quality computer science education, no matter where they live, no matter what teacher they have, what school they go to. I think that high quality education is a right for every child. And so the opportunity to support every teacher and get that high quality computer science education to as many kids as possible just kind of made my heart sing. And I would not have left teaching for many things. But the idea to show teachers how great they are and empower them to do that work and reach kind of the education community on the larger scale was worth taking that leap for. So I am technically the learning and community manager at BirdBrain Technologies, but I do call myself, and my team calls me, the robot fairy godmother. Because I kind of like float into places with glitter and cardboard and like flashing LED lights and do a little like bippity boppity boo and make people see how amazing they are. I get to be a professional encourager to help teachers see that they already have more than what it takes, and they're so capable, and they're often already doing the hardest part and just don't know to call it computer science or to call it culturally responsive teaching or an equitable teaching strategy. And so as the learning and community manager, I wear a lot of different hats. I run our online communities and our social media. So I write our content, our newsletters, things like that. If you have ever gotten a BirdBrain newsletter, if you've ever interacted with us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, that's me. Hi, thank you for chatting with me. I also am one of the leads of our education team. So I help to create our learning resources, our lessons, our projects, and one of my favorite parts about my job with BirdBrain is that I put my money where my mouth is. I'm also a teacher still. I run creative robotics classes with middle school students where I live in Charlottesville, Virginia. And so every resource that you get from BirdBrain has been test driven in the classroom. And my students who take my classes know they are trying to find the holes. I say, I have made this lesson, prove it wrong. Find the issues, tell me where the problems are. And boy, do they take joy in that. So we always test drive, and I run it with them twice, and they help me find the issues. And I love getting to do that because I don't know that I would feel confident and comfortable speaking with teachers about the work that they do if I wasn't doing the work myself. And I love teaching. It is such a gift to be able to continue doing that and to keep one foot in that world that I love. It's like I get to be backstage while also supporting out in the lobby. It's a dream job.
What a fantastic endeavor. And I will say that you are brave to say to a bunch of middle school kids, go ahead and break my lesson, find the holes. What's
so good at it.
Here? But I think it's so fantastic that you're happy and willing to do that, because then you are providing the best of the best for teachers with BirdBrain. So why don't we dive into BirdBrain a little bit? I know that all of our friends that are with us here have done something with CodeJoy this summer, but some of them have not done maybe BirdBrain stuff. We've had some teachers do project tricks with Microbit. We've had teachers who did Python editor with the Microbit, and then some teachers who did Hummingbird, which is that's microbit in a very physical, exciting form. But for those of us who didn't do, the hummingbird session, can you tell us more about BirdBrain and what they do and what it is?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the most important thing to know about BirdBrain is that our mission is to inspire deep and joyful hands-on learning through creative robotics and computer science. And so we have 2 computer science-based products and then a newer elementary math-based product. So I will tell you, maybe I'll tell you about that math product first. It's called Owlet, and Owlet is a set of elementary math tools for grades K through 5, and they are robots, but they're not technically used as robotics. It's Glow and Cube Makeup Owlet, and I actually have Glow right here because I was doing some testing on our app this morning. It's like part Etch-a-Sketch and part robot, and all about making math hands-on and making it make sense. And so students use the dials and the buttons in order to solve equations, and they can actually create pictures using different equations and operations. It's a way to make those abstract math concepts really concrete, and students can do independent practice. And it works with the suite of free apps that work across all devices, so students can get real-time feedback from those apps so they can practice independently and really know if they're on the right track. And they're just really fun. They're fun to play with. They're fun to use. There's also Cube. This is Cube, which is a sensor-enabled tower, and students put blocks into the tower to create numbers and practice place value and money. So again, hands-on, very tactile, like the old school math manipulatives, but because they're linked with these apps for real-time feedback, it takes what works with math manipulatives and kicks it into the 21st century so that students can practice and have that guidance. So those are our math tools, the Owlet Math Tools collection. And then our robots are probably what we're best known for. Owlet is relatively new. That just came out last year. We have a mobile robot called Finch. Finch is behind me on my table right here. That's our kind of ready to go out of the box robot powered by microbit. We're really proud to be a part of the microbit ecosystem. And we talk about Finch as one robot that can take you all the way from kindergarten to college. And we really mean that. It's not just a slogan. So it works across a wide range of devices. It's designed to be able to use in all different classrooms and really exclusively in classrooms. This is designed with 10 years of teacher feedback to be the classroom robot. So it works with icon-based programming. Students do not need to be able to read independently, so they can develop that computer science literacy before they've even mastered traditional literacy. Then when they're ready, they can move up to block-based programming, works with MakeCode, Snap, bird blocks. I'm forgetting. I'm too excited. Can you tell that I get excited when I talk about robots? And then when they're ready, they can transition to text-based programming, Python, and also Java. So it works really well for CSP. And we, all the way from having kindergartners and preschoolers drive their robot to a straight line, up to artificial intelligence with Python, where they're creating these learning models and controlling the robots with image and sketch recognition. It's really incredible. And the Hummingbird Robotics Kit, if you're not familiar with it, we call it the guts of the robot. It's all the lights, motors, and sensors inside of the Finch robot, but it doesn't come with a body because you are creating the body out of recycled craft materials. And the hardest thing about the Hummingbird Kit is that it can be anything, truly anything. So wherever your imagination can take you. I'm a little starstruck knowing that Cecilia Hillway is on this call because she's amazing. And the things that she makes with the Hummingbird Kit, I mean, she just turns cardboard and paint and tape into, I totally agree, she's so cool, just turns it into magic. And Hummingbird, the possibilities are so vast that we've actually had to kind of put them into categories so teachers know what they're working with. So you can create rovers, which are the mobile robots that can drive around. There's moving scenes, interactive characters, there's, again, I'm forgetting, but they're all on our website, which I'm hopefully going to show you in a little bit, but it's just anything you can make, super low floor, high ceiling. It's a really, really powerful tool to be creative and to get students that might not see themselves as traditional programmers into computer science. If you're intimidated by robots, but you love pipe cleaners, then you might leave a hummingbird unit saying, oh my gosh, I'm so good with robotics and I had no idea. This is something I can use later. It's a great way to help kids see themselves in a different light and to help teachers see their students differently.
Yeah. I mean, like, who doesn't like pipe cleaners? Like, let's just start right there. Everyone likes a pipe cleaner. It's a satisfying thing. And the fact that you can put that kind of material, those craft materials, with a robotics tool, I mean, that's what drew me to it, especially, you know, I for sure, I really love Hummingbird. You know, very biased. I really do love it. And I have used it for all kinds of things, like you're mentioning, all sorts of options and different ideas. And I actually want to take a look here at the website for a moment. We can cut my screen.
Great.
I believe we can split my screen. Matt's got it for me. He knows all the buttons. So there are so many resources on the website, and one of them that's really fantastic is the whole projects page, which I know that you have been instrumental in like reorganizing, which
It's brand new. It just launched. Like my coworker Jen really did an incredible job, and our whole team put our heart into this page. So thank you. I'm glad to hear that you like it.
Yeah, and it just showcases really well all of the different options and different ways. Oh, there we go. My mouse is on a different screen. There we go. All the different ways you can use the hummingbird, especially because, but like you said, the hardest thing about the hummingbird is it can be anything. But that's kind of what I loved about it. It's not just a rover or a robot that rolls around. It's not just a math manipulative. It can be any of these things that you want it to be. It can fit into everything, which especially for, you know, teachers who aren't just teaching CS or aren't just teaching STEM, it works for all of those things because you can integrate it. And that's how I got into it. I was originally teaching reading and writing. And I was not a CS teacher. I was not a STEM teacher. And I needed to find a cool way to do fun stuff like this. So there's all sorts of really cool projects from, I mean, this one is like a really popular one, the moving joints robotics. We have our robotics in the back here. Yeah. And I know that was created by a PE teacher way back when, created that lesson plan of like, well, how do you bring robotics into PE class? And there's you know, constellations and angles with the hummingbird. I know I did that with fourth graders when I was teaching fourth grade math. I did angles and protractors with a hummingbird because what's better than seeing it happen versus trying to get them to orient that stinking protractor tool on a worksheet? That's a very difficult task. For those of us that have done it, we all know they don't know how to work a protractor, but they do know how to code angles and they can see the protractor happen. That's a transformative experience. I mean, it changes the whole playing field for sure. So
it just feels so different when you've done it with your hands. And I don't know about you, Amanda, but I'm a really tactile learner. If I'm going to remember something, I want to be doing, whether I'm writing down notes or building something with my hands. But if I have created it and seen it in action, I'll remember it forever. I can just own it in a really different way. And I have a very childlike brain. I'll just own that. I'm a 7-year-old in a 36-year-old's body, and that's, you know, and so I think a lot of kids work the same way that I do, that like, talk to me about it. That's great. Let me do it myself. And then we talk about it. And it's just, you can take off from there.
Pretty amazing. So while we're here, why don't we dive into a few resources and things that are available on the page, especially ones that you specifically are really loving or akin to. So I'll navigate us around and about, and where should we go? What do we want to see on BirdBrain's website?
Oh my goodness. Well, if you can go up to the Teach tab. Yeah. So on both Hummingbird and Finch, let's go to Hummingbird since that's what we were talking about. Head to that Start Teaching link. We did a full overhaul of our website last summer, and this page we built from scratch. And what we found is that Hummingbird can feel a little bit intimidating for teachers that are new to robotics. When you take Finch out of the box, you kind of know what to do with it. It's a robot. I'm going to drive it. I know what this is. I know I can do it. I just have to figure out how to get there. If you're uncomfortable with robotics, Hummingbird can just look like a big pile of parts, and it's so hard to know where to start. And so this page starts you from the very beginning. At the top, you see that message, hey teachers, are you the proud new owner of a Hummingbird kit? You're in the right place. From the very beginning, we wanted to say, if you have no idea what to do, welcome, you belong here, we're glad you're here, and we've got your back. And so it takes you step by step through what to do. Grab your kit, let's get to know each other. Whatever kit you have, that video shows you all of the pieces inside. It is me, which is so weird seeing myself on the internet like that, but it takes you inside and shows you what's in each kit. So immediately it's supposed to be like you're sitting down with a friend saying, what does this piece do? Where does this piece go? That's the kind of feeling that we wanted to create. Then step 2, you're picking your programming language. And if you're not familiar with the programming language, we've got a video for that and a software guidance chart. So you know, okay, I have a Chromebook. So some of the languages aren't going to work with a Chromebook. How do I find the one that I need? So again, you've got guidance, you've got support, you're not left out on your own. Step 3, another resource we're really proud of and that Kelsey is very familiar with is we have phenomenal professional development courses that will take you every step of the way through learning how to use these tools. And another just a feather for Kelsey's cap is as they're going through, they're not just teaching you how these tools work, they're teaching you the pedagogical tools that you need in order to teach with them. So this is a distance sensor. This is how you talk about a distance sensor. This is how you teach a distance sensor. Try out a project that you might use with this distance sensor. Now you're ready to bring it to your classroom. Here are some mistakes that your students might make. I mean, it's really incredible and thoughtfully made. Then you go on to the lessons that we talked about, and those lessons, you'll see some of them are labeled with My First. Again, as a way to support teachers, can you click on My First animated character?
Absolutely.
Just an outline to a lesson is great if you already feel prepared, but if it's your first time bringing this into your classroom, you might need a little extra support. And so these My First lessons have scripts and discussion questions and tips and tricks. It guides you through what to do on which day, gives you live links to the resources, so you can really sit down, never having taught with the Hummingbird kit or robotics before, and be successful and feel like our team is right there with you on your first day, so that when you finish, you're like, wow, I'm so great. I could do that a million different times and I'm ready for a harder project. And there's one of those for each category: the moving scenes, the inventions, the animated characters, the interactive games, the rovers. So no matter what you want to try, it's like having us in the room with you, kind of like cheering you on in the back. That was our goal with those. I'm really proud. That took us a long time. And when we hear from teachers that say, I didn't think I could do it, but with your lesson, now I'm ready. What can I try next? That just, we want every teacher to have that feeling. And then you can go through the whole library and there's so many different things for you to choose from. And finally, the Build Your Toolbox. We got all sorts of stuff, guys. The hardest part about our resources is just finding what you need, because there's so much. We've got printables, we've got challenge cards, we've got a robot design notebook, we've got craft lists and building tools, we've got basic mechanism tutorials, we've got Hummingbird hacks, classroom adaptations. I mean, whatever it is that you want, we've got it. And if we don't have it, please tell us so we can make it, because we'd love to.
Yeah, I loved that when I first was getting to know Hummingbird. This was something that was being built slowly but surely along the way. And it is so impressive, the number of resources and helpful materials that are there to help support teachers now. And I know you're constantly working away at new things, adding things as you go and talking to teachers and so on and so forth. And I actually do want to know more about some of your experiences with some teachers. So I know that you work really closely with teachers and with students. Do you have any really good stories from your experiences with teachers, especially of, doing your job and working with any of the BirdBrain tools?
I mean, I think one of the most rewarding parts of my job is how many teachers I get to work with and talk to. I think that teachers have no idea how amazing they are. Having worked in education and now taking a step back and working on the other side, kind of in industry, Teachers are the hardest working, smartest, most talented, able to juggle professionals out there. It's really incredible what educators can do. And so every time I speak to a teacher, I'm just blown away. We launched a new project this year that is very close to my heart. It's a podcast called Flocking Amazing. And Flocking Amazing that's what we call our teachers. We are the BirdBrain flock, and they truly are flocking amazing. I will not outright say what that is a play on, but I'm thinking some of you might know. And in Flocking Amazing, I sit down with teachers and just talk about what it's like to be a teacher, kind of like what we're doing here. How did you start working with technology? What advice do you have? What's great? What's awful? And at the end of every episode, I ask every educator, what makes you flocking amazing? And every educator is so uncomfortable. And I push them to think about what makes them amazing. But in these episodes, I've spoken to some incredible people, and I've learned so much about teaching, celebrating their successes, and kind of mourning their losses and learning from their challenges. I have to say, Amanda is going to be a Flocking Amazing podcast guest. I believe that we are chatting next week. So, and if any educators on this call would like to be a guest on Flocking Amazing, please, I would love to chat with you. Learning teacher stories and learning the best way to support them through the work that they do is something that I love. And so this podcast allowed me to take these conversations that I love to have and share them with others. We designed it to be a pep talk. If you've got the Sunday scaries and you wake up on Monday morning and you're like, how am I going to make it through this week? My goal is that you put an episode of Flocking Amazing on your way to school. And by the time you pull into the parking lot, you're like, this job is great and I can do it. Like, I forgot how important this is. I forgot how amazing I am. I've got it. We want it to be a pep talk so that teachers never forget how incredible they are, how important their work is.
Yeah, I've started listening to some of the podcasts recently myself, because I am going to be joining you on your podcast very soon. I'm super excited because, to be honest, I just like talking to you. So that's
unusual.
Yeah, check that off. That's a great opportunity I should take. But they really are so uplifting and joyful. They're a thoroughly wonderful experience. If you're looking for something to listen to on your way to school or from school, or if you're, in need of something to give you a little pick me up right before the school year starts, or maybe the school year has started for you and you're like, oh man, I forgot how hard this is, then that is a good listen for sure. So
thank you. They're bite-sized too. You only need like 25 minutes. We keep them real short because y'all are busy. You do not need hour-long podcasts. What educator has an hour? So 20 minutes, it's 20 to 30 minutes is our cutoff, so you can listen while you're doing something else.
Absolutely. We got a question in the chat. Someone asked, Matt asked, is there a project that one of your students created that surprised you?
What projects have my students made that haven't surprised me? There is a class that I teach that has really surprised me. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'll explain. When I started in this role and started teaching 2.5 years ago, I pitched a BattleBots style class where we would use Finch and start with Finch jousting, where you're creating an attachment for the Finch to knock a ping pong ball off the cup, and use that activity as a basis for a tournament. And we had a bracket, and students are working in partners, and they're iterating as they go, and then they're jousting against each other. And we did it over the semester, and it was really fun. We really enjoyed it, and we're shocked by how much the students learned, because as every educator knows, teaching them robotics alone in a vacuum, they'll like it. Teaching them robotics and as part of a real world application so that they're working towards a goal that they feel really passionately about, they will just go. And so we were so impressed by the amount of the foundations of robotics that they learned, how much fun it was. And as that semester was coming to a close, we were thinking, okay, what do we want to offer next semester? And the demand for BattleBots was so strong that we offered it again. And then at the end of the school year, we were like, we'll take the summer to think about what we want to do. And the head of school came to us and said, I think that BattleBots has really become kind of an institution here. We have parents asking about when kids can take it. We have second graders waiting until they're in sixth grade so they can take it. It's kind of become this legend, and I would love for you to keep offering it year after year. And so we've now offered BattleBots, I think, 6 times. And you would think that it would get boring doing the same thing over and over again, but I'm constantly surprised by the directions the students take and the iterations. And these middle schoolers will find reasons to walk past the technology classroom so they can kind of see what they're doing. And then when they take the course, they have asked the older students, they have watched the videos, they have kind of peeked through the classroom to see. And so our robots get better and better every year. The scores get higher and higher. The competition gets more and more heated. So this class has really taken on a life of its own, and students' programming gets more and more. It's more than just they're stronger programmers. It's getting more elegant. It's getting more complex and more thoughtful. And it's really, students are asking me to do things that I don't know how to do, and I'm learning along with them, and then they're teaching me. So it's making me smarter and stronger. And I think this is going to last for, if I ever retire, BattleBots is going to far outlive me, and I will be delighted to see that happening. It's grown into something so great. My co-teacher and I presented a BattleBot session at ISTE this year and invited teachers in to go through a semester of BattleBots with us in super fast forward motion. We did it all in 90 minutes. And so my hope is that BattleBots will kind of be taking place all over the country now, because teachers have taken that and will run with it.
That is amazing and so cool. One of the questions that I know I have gotten from fellow teachers about the Hummingbird and BirdBrain tools is, well, what about competition? So I personally am not as akin to competition with robotics. I really like the creative side a lot more. And there are other robotics tools out there that their whole thing is competition, but that's like really a cool way of bringing those ideas and options in of like, well, other things you can do, because I feel like that's the appeal of the BirdBrain suite to me, is like there's a lot to do with all the tools. They're very flexible. They can be what you want them to be. That leads me to another question from the chat. I'm going to pull out. It says, what do you think differentiates BirdBrain tools from other tools in a very busy educational robotics landscape?
Oh, that's a really good question. And I'm going to answer that professionally, and I'm also going to answer that personally as someone who is taught with a lot of different robotics tools. Professionally, there are so many things that set us apart. We're research backed. All of our products have been funded by research from the National Science Foundation, and our products come out of the Carnegie Mellon Create Lab, which is like kind of their robotics hands-on institute. Our founder and CEO has a PhD in robotics from Carnegie Mellon. They were designed specifically for the classroom. So these are not industry products that we decided to target to students. These are not products that are meant for students to explore robotics at home that can also be brought into the classroom. They were developed with teachers in mind, which is why you see little details like a rechargeable battery that will last for 7 to 8 hours on Finch, because we got feedback from teachers that this has got to last a whole school day. I don't have time to charge them. I cannot afford more AA batteries. So you'll see little details like that, and they're designed for classrooms, for teachers, by teachers. That really, there are so many things that set us apart, but that's 2 things that as an educator were really important to me. And personally, what I think sets BirdBrain apart and what makes me very proud to work for this company is that these products were developed because Tom Lowers, our founder and CEO, saw an issue with the technology landscape. He saw one type of person sitting at the top, having a seat at the table and making the rules. He looked around and said, this is not a field where everyone can feel welcome and thrive. And when not everyone has a say, our work isn't as good. The more perspectives you have, the more people you have at the table, the better our world will be. And so finch and hummingbird especially were created in order to not just open the door, not just pull up a seat at the table, but make technology a world where everyone can thrive because every student has had access and sees that they belong there. And so I've talked before about that equity and that access and how important that feels. So working for a company that builds products that help to break down those barriers, to lessen stereotype threat, to help students see that their identity is important and belongs in computer science, that is something that sets BirdBrain apart. You see it in our resources, you feel it in our team. It's really important to us. And so I think that not a lot of robotics companies feel that strongly about it. And I'm really proud that we do, and that we bring that into a field where you don't always find it everywhere.
Yeah, I agree. You know, in a past Make-A-Thon, we had a wonderful panel of CSTA equity fellows, and they discussed in great detail the importance of those things, you know, making everyone feel and identify in these different spaces. So I'm curious if you have any specific stories or, you know, triumphs of a teacher or a student that maybe wouldn't have otherwise felt that this was their thing, and after experiencing robotics with such a wonderful creative robotics tool, now is, you know, often doing something cool.
I have a story from a teacher. I won't name the teacher or the school for their privacy, but we have a program that is called the Finch Loan Program. It's our kind of philanthropic branch. And what we do is loan class sets or sometimes school sets of Finch robots to schools that qualify. And in order to qualify, you fill out a quick survey and let us know what you need, what you'll use them for. And it's a way for us to get computer science and robotics to schools where kids would not necessarily normally have robotics and computer science as a part of their school day. So we cover everything from the shipping to the robots. You get to borrow them for a full semester and let us know how you use them. Let us know how we can support you. And it's our way of helping finches to get to places where they wouldn't normally get to go. And we get feedback from teachers through this Finch Loan Program. We've reached more than 250,000 students this way. I believe that we're set to reach another 25,000 in this upcoming semester. And a teacher sent the finches back and was letting us know about their experience and said, I work with students who are learning English as a second language, English language learners, whatever title that you're using. And sometimes these students can feel so defeated by the time they walk in the door in the morning because they are smart, they're funny, they're gifted in their language, and sometimes that doesn't translate. And so these students would say to these teachers, like, when I was at home, I was the smartest person in the room and I was funny and my friends liked me, and I can't be that person here and I'm so frustrated. And there was one teacher who had the Finch robots through the loan program in her classroom and was using them with her English language learners. And she said that she had one student who had been really shut down just light up after working with the Finch and say, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And she said she saw this student, something opened up and they thought, there can be a pathway for me to be successful here. I can be myself. I can do this. This is a universal language. I'm not shut out of robotics the way I might be out of the cafeteria conversation. Like, this is a thing that I can lead at in this school, in this place, in my new home, and I can do this. And I just thought that was such a great example of students who don't normally get to thrive, finding themselves and getting this opportunity to just light up and show you what they can do, to show what they know.
That is so amazing. I love hearing those types of stories, and I know that you've got such a wonderful filing cabinet of them, working with students and working with teachers. We have another question in the chat from Marianne, who said, couldn't agree more about competitions, but our school is pushing hard. So we've signed up to conduct our first VEX and Junior FLL, First Lego League.
Yeah.
After school club. And she said, is there precedent at all for Hummingbird adding value to competition entries? And is there any leverage for partnering with these robotics competition merchants?
Wow, what a great question. First, I'll tell you a little bit about our philosophy on competition. We have talked a lot within our team about, we know that some teachers love competitions. Some teachers are perhaps pressured to bring competitions into their curriculum. Some students love competitions. And so we know the demand is out there and have thought a lot about whether that's something we want to get involved in. And at the end of the day, have realized that for us specifically, it works really well for some companies. It works really well for our classrooms, but it doesn't always feel like it can go hand in hand with our idea that everyone is included and that we are inviting as many people in and helping people to feel successful, because at times competition can really value one type of learner and one type of learning. And a really exemplary teacher can make sure that that's not the case, can still take a competition that's working towards one goal and give different learners a chance to shine. But that can be really difficult. And so we have decided that as a team, we are not going to offer a competition because that doesn't really go along with our values. And we fully understand that some robotics gear, it does go with their values, and that teachers love to hear it. They love to have that opportunity. I was an FLL coach myself. I know that those competitions can be really challenging and really rewarding. And I love the way that they highlight the community and the teamwork and working together, and they kind of let the whole student shine. So it can be really powerful. So is there any leverage for partnering with these robotics competition merchants? I want to make sure that I understand that question correctly. Are you asking, is there value in the competition, or is there value in, maybe I'll read the next message, partnering with outfits like Destination Imagination? I think that teachers know their students and know what they need better than anybody else. So you're going to know whether your class is going to be driven and kind of come alive if they are put in a competition, or whether they're going to wilt and you're going to lose them, putting them into a competition. Competitions are not inherently good or bad. Projects are not inherently good or bad. Some students are going to rise and some students are going to feel like they can't be themselves. And so you know your group. Educators need to be trusted more to do what they know. And so I think that you know, and let's see, I envisioned a scene from the first Star Wars, Princess Leia's hologram project out of R2-D2. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Anything imagination based, anything where you get to create things, I love it. Opportunities through First Lego League to create a robotic gallery space. It sounds like these competitions are hearing educators saying, we want something that's more of a collaboration versus a competition, and that are offering that. And I'm so glad to hear that. I think that's great.
Oh, I love that term, collaboration. I'm going to steal that one. I don't know.
We use it in BattleBots a lot.
Oh yeah, I like that. Well, I'm a really big fan of BirdBrain. I think that much of what you said is exactly why, because I think that's so teacher centered. It's not necessarily product centered. Of course, there's a product and it's really cool, but the focus is on teachers and what they need and what they want. And I think you all do that so well. And you especially, Sarah, because you are so passionate about what you do. We're almost wrapping up here, but I wanted to ask, is there anything else that we haven't gotten to mention that yet that you're like, oh, I really want to make sure that we get to talk about this?
I do want to make sure that I tell educators out there, our resources are all free. They are 100% free. There's no paywall. You don't have to sign up for anything. It will ask you for a code when you go. We will send that to you. That is just so students can't log on and see the sample code. It's because we want to make your lives a little bit easier. So that is a founding principle of our company. That will always be the case. And our company's goal is always to make sure that we have the longevity to be here to get you the resources so that you can still use your Hummingbird kit 15 years out from when you've bought it. We want to be here and we want to make sure that you can access our resources. Our professional development is all free. Just everything that we have. Teachers buy enough of their resources. They work enough. They have to already work overtime to get those budgets, and finances should never be a barrier to you providing what your students need. And so all of our resources are free. We also have a full grant assistance page if you need help. And we are a team of really geeky nerds that love to problem solve. So if you want to kind of brainstorm and toss ideas around and you need help, we're a small team. So we're real people and we want to help you. So please write to us. I wish that I could take you all the way through our website because there's so much good stuff on there, but it would take hours. So what we showed you with that Start Teaching page with Hummingbird, the exact same thing exists for Finch and the same exists for Owlet. Owlet has extensive teacher guides that take you all the way through and have discussion guides, places for you to take notes. It's got scripts for lessons. We really do want to give teachers everything that they need to be successful. And that is what our company is all about. So those are the resources that I really want you to know about. Also, our social media is very active. If you're a Facebook user, we have a Facebook group. I believe it's up to 450, almost 478 educators from around the world who I'm gonna go ahead and say are just about as excited as I am. And so it is a community where people are constantly asking questions and putting ideas out there and saying, I want to do this. How did it work for you? I tried this lesson and it totally bombed. What would you have changed? It's a really active, interactive community. And I would love if you're a Facebook user and you want to start a conversation to join. And I'm the moderator, so please come talk to me. Don't make me hang out by myself. And I see now that I did miss part of Marianne's question. Would I get in trouble for enhancing our competition entries with elements from Hummingbird? Will we need some IP permissions? I have no idea. I don't think you would get in trouble from us. Go for it. Have a blast. But it's been a while since I have taught, since I have coached in First LEGO League, so I'm not sure. But with Hummingbird, stick it on everything. See what you can do with it. And then please tag us in it so I can see what you did, because that sounds amazing and I really want to see it.
Oh, that's so fantastic, Sarah. And this has been such a fantastic interview. We're going to say thank you for right this moment, Sarah.